Today, we're talking about healing inner wounds from childhood trauma and drama. And sometimes the drama isn't super huge, but sometimes you'll create these triggers or these wounds or where your ego gets wounded and you create a belief about yourself. And that belief will formulate emotions. And those emotions will constantly be triggered throughout your whole life because that belief pattern is stuck. It's ingrained in you. So today, my good friend, Cherise Johnson, she's going to be helping us to unwind, unravel some of that, the energetic components to the wounds that you might have.
Because some people think they've had an amazing childhood and they don't realize it, but there are some signs that come along with it. So that's kind of what I'm going to go over.
I'm really excited about today's topic because I feel like a lot of people are going through some of this stuff is coming up for many of us, just those deep inner wounds from childhood and maybe even beyond, like before coming here. Some of us bring a lot of this unresolved trauma and drama with us into various lifetimes until we get it resolved. And so this is going to be a good opportunity for you guys to reveal some parts about yourself that maybe you didn't know before, and then get after doing your inner work. Welcome to Great Life, Greater Impact. I'm really excited about today's topic because we're going to actually get into some nitty-gritty rather than just sitting and talking about topics. I think that you guys would rather get after going inside and doing some inner healing work and some unraveling. Krista grew up in Tabor also. You should tell me what your maiden name is. I probably know you. Anyway. Hey, well, we've got people joining from all over the place: Arizona, Canada, Indiana, Oregon, my hometown. And so that's great. Thanks for being here. Today, we're going to be talking about healing your inner child. And before we get after that, I just want to give you the reminder that every week we go live here. We do the free Zoom, which is this class right now. And then an hour after this class is over, so 12 p.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, we do a live group healing session over on my website, Great Life, Greater Impact. And I want to do a screen share really quick just to show you how you can get onto that, if that is something that interests you. Let me jump on over. This is the website, greatlifegreaterimpact.com. If you go to this, there's up in the top corner, I don't know if it's going to show it this way on your iPhone, but up in the top corner here is classes. You click on classes and it'll take you to, this is how you're going to register every week for the free class. And this is how you're going to register every week for the deeper dive, which is it's an extended version of what we're going to do today in the free class. Only, it's a lot more intimate. It's a smaller group setting. And then we actually do a lot more deeper, more personal, more, it's just more healing work that you can do. You can buy these sessions one at a time, or you can go over to the homepage on the website and just get yourself registered as a member. And if you're a registered member and you become a member of this website, you have unlimited access to all the videos and tutorials. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of healing sessions on here for all kinds of different things that you can do to do your inner work. So if that's something that interests you, it's super cheap, not hard to do at all. You can cancel anytime. There's no pressure. It's just, this is for you guys. I always tell people this is for people who are dealing with these kinds of problems and more. But there's a lot of people in the world suffering with chronic illness or pain or fatigue, anxiety, stress, addictions. You feel stuck, lost, worthless, powerless, trapped. You can't hear God. maybe you feel that inner peace is unattainable. Perhaps you don't know who you are anymore. You might feel disconnected from others in relationships, or maybe you're in relationships that hurt. You lack self-awareness, lack of intuition, lack of hope, lack of peace. Maybe you're dealing with mental illness. All of these things are very relevant to the work that we do. So, if you notice that you have these kinds of things going on in your life from time to time, maybe in one area or another, it's because you're carrying around unhealed wounds from the pains and traumas of your past. And when you carry around these unhealed wounds for long enough, it can create ongoing suffering patterns. And sometimes that comes with biological consequences like illness and sickness and disease and pain. So learning to let go of the beliefs and the emotions that attach you to these pains and these traumas can really go a long way to helping heal your physical body and your mental body, and helping you to develop spiritually, because it opens up space for that. As you guys know, I'm a quantum healing practitioner and a teacher. I've done public speaking before. I'm really well versed in the area of spiritual development. I'm an advocate for people who want to develop themselves spiritually. Last year, we talked all about spiritual sovereignty for the entire year. If you want access to those videos, just go to the YouTube channel where this class will be posted, which is Great Life, Greater Impact. It's on YouTube. So there are also courses and classes on here that you may be able to resonate with. So enough of that. We're going to stop screen share. And I think the best thing to do right now is bring Cherise on. I have known Cherise for, gosh, I don't even know how long it's been. You've been attending my classes for a very, very long time. And I kind of think that's how we met, was through a mutual friend. And I have really loved and appreciated the way that you've added your wisdom and your knowledge and your healing tools to these classes over the years. And so I specifically reached out to you today or this week and said, would you be willing to come on and do a free class with everybody so that they can get to know you? At the end, and also in the description of this video on YouTube, we'll put some links as to how maybe you can do some further work with Cherise if you'd like to do that. So enough introductions. I'm going to turn it to you. And if you want to introduce yourself a little bit further, you can. You're more than welcome to. I'm going to unpin me and you can take it away.
Okay, sounds great. Can everybody hear me all right? And even if you can't hear me, I don't really know how to fix it. So I am sorry. I am not very techie. So I'm Cherise Johnson. I'm a massage therapist. I am a quantum practitioner. I'm also a theta healing practitioner, Reiki practitioner. I just love learning. And so I've kind of collected all these different modalities because I've loved learning over the years. But one of the biggest things that I draw from is actually just my own intuition and from the creator of all that is. So I ask a lot of questions about my clients, and I'm usually shown very specific answers. So one of the things that has helped me on my healing journey has been with inner work, but very specific to healing the inner child. So that's why when Janet asked me if I wanted to come and join her in this class and teach it, that was the very first thing that popped into my mind, was healing the inner child, because I believe most of us have inner traumas from childhood that are left over. Not everybody has had bad childhood. Some people grow up and they have a perfect home and great moms and dads, and they do their best and to, keep their children nurtured and happy and safe. So I have some clients that, they tell me this, no, I had a really, really good growing up. But what was your parents growing up like? So there's that generational traumas that comes down through the DNA. And so even if you did have an amazing childhood and amazing parents, it might not necessarily be yours that needs to be healed. So just keep that in mind. Not everybody does suffer from the traumas, but in my experience, the majority of people do. So I've kind of put together a list of things that, and I had to write it down because I get really nervous when I'm in front of people. So I do apologize, which is also a sign of trauma. Funny, hey? So a lot of these things, there's this really cool guy. His name is Patrick, and I don't know if I'm saying his name wrong. Teahan, Teahan, and he's on YouTube, and I enjoy listening to him. He talks a lot about childhood traumas. He talks about families and dysfunctional families, but he does it in such a way that it's not negative, negative, negative. He's super positive and and he also gives you tools on how to actually help heal yourself and heal, he gives you the tools, right? Anyways, really interesting guy. I enjoyed listening to him. So I jotted down a few of his points and then I've added some of my own. Oh, excuse me, that's my landline. Probably just a telemarketer. Okay, so number one is an emotional delay. So an emotional delay being that that something takes several hours to catch up to. So if something happens, like just for instance, someone that's committed to something and then they can't do it, and you're just like, okay, it's fine, whatever. Then you're okay with it in the beginning, but a couple hours down the road, you're like, actually, I'm not okay with that, or this isn't actually sitting right with me, or I feel violated, right? Different experiences will cause that. So an emotional delay. And usually it's an escalation of an emotion that you were not in touch with earlier on in that day. And usually it's due to disassociation and hypervigilance when an inner child goes, wait a minute, was I just taken advantage of? So emotions that you're not in touch with, disassociation, not being in your body, detachment, leaving your body, like during the abuse, this is kind of a survival mechanism for children, is when there's some sort of traumatic experience happening, we disassociate, we leave our body just to make it okay, just to be in that safe place. So that's a big one. So that's number one. Number two, rushing nowhere. Hurry up, enjoy your life so you can move on to the next thing in life. So shame and hypervigilance will make us rush because we're trying to people please. If I get the dishes done, if I clean my room, if I get my homework done, mom and dad will be happy. You're trying to please them, right? But that continues on, that trauma cycle continues on into your adult life. And so you're continually rushing. And you're also possibly running from the possibility of making a mistake, right? So I'm not diving too deep into all of these. I just want to touch on them just to bring an awareness to what is actually going on. Number three is a fear of abandonment or being left behind. Usually comes from a codependent relationship when you cling to others to feel safe and secure. Often this will lead to manifesting toxic or abusive relationships in the future. So if you have experienced any toxic relationships, that might be something you need to take a look at from childhood. Number four is it's the hum of depression, kind of like, when your refrigerator is on, there's always a little hum with the refrigerator, right? So that refrigerator hums and it's always there, but you might not notice it until 6 months down the road when you're like, oh, wait a second, what's that hum? And then you listen and you're like, oh, that's my refrigerator. Has it always sounded like that? Yeah, okay. So depression can sometimes manifest like that as well too. So it's a trauma response from childhood abuse. And it's kind of that feeling that things will never get better, that my life is going to always be like this. When you're a child, that's all you know. You don't know that things are going to change, right? So sometimes this hopeless perception will trigger the depression. Number 5, addictions and the inability to say no to sex, drugs, food, exercise, pornography, shopping, anger, attention, social media, work, binge watching on Netflix, as well as, there's so many different forms of addictions. Basically, it's the dopamine. You're getting a hit from the dopamine wherever that source of dopamine is coming from. Most addictions usually go back to the primal relationship between parent and child. The first word that a child usually learns is no, right? We've all had toddlers. Some of us still have toddlers, and it's a struggle when they know that word no, and you want them to go to bed, and it's no. They are standing in their power, which usually leads to parents getting upset, and sometimes that power is taken from the child. So that causes leftover, and that's what addiction is the inability to say no. So the loss of that power. Number 6, feeling shame and guilt, or for feeling shame and guilt. Let me read that again, just because I kind of messed up the words. Feeling shame and guilt, for feeling shame and guilt. Okay, shame and guilt have been used to parent children for generations. I had a friend that was struggling to potty train her little boy. He was almost 4, and it was she was really having a hard time. He was not wanting to have anything to do with the potty. And so finally I was like, well, how did you finally get him potty trained? And she said, I shamed him. It was the only thing that would work. And as sad as it is, sometimes we do resort to that as parents, even if we're good parents, right? And even though our parents were good parents too, I'm sure most of us felt shame and guilt. So essentially, shame is the constant internal battle between who we are and who we think we should be. Sometimes my mother, I love her dearly, but she was a product of rape as a teenager, and she stayed in this teenage attitude. Like, she never mentally progressed past a 16-year-old girl. So
can you restate that? When you said, after you said sometimes, it cut out and you froze, and so we missed a little piece of that. Was that your mother?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
my mother.
Okay.
So my mother was I felt like when I reached about 16, 17, I felt like I was being raised by a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that because of her traumas in teenage years, she was never able to move past that point mentally in her life. So she always she reacted like a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
So that was her trauma. And so, I got to a certain point where I was like, I feel like I'm raising a teenager. I feel like I'm the one being a parent in this situation. So, I can't remember the point I was making with that. Let me go back so I can, sorry. Okay, so yeah, shame and guilt. So shame and guilt, for feeling shame and guilt for any types of emotions. So my mom, she was that very kind of selfish, subservient to her selfish id. It was her emotions were more important than everybody else's, and I wasn't allowed to feel emotions. So I really had to work through any emotions, because I felt a lot of shame and guilt for feeling emotions. So that is definitely something, if you have experienced that, that was number 6 on my list anyways.
Yeah.
Number 7 is trust issues. So when children are continually lied to um, their their perception of truth is distorted. If their primary caregiver can't be straight with them, then who can they trust? So they learn that at a very young age to not trust. Number 8, laughing out about the pain. So sometimes people will laugh about their childhood experiences and their traumas, while other people are looking at you with their jaws dropping, saying, "Are you okay?" This uncontrollably bringing humor into the situation that you don't always know how to process, or downplaying the situation. I think this happens. It's a defense mechanism. We'll just laugh it off. Let's just be funny. We'll make a joke out of it. It's not funny though. It was real, and it was not right, and it was wrong, and it was dang. We got to deal with the aftermath of it now. So, downplaying the situation. Number 9, the glass frog. So the glass frog is a type of amphibian that his skin is transparent, but you can see all of the organs inside of them. So having that belief that they can see right through me, that everyone knows what's happening inside of me. So the assumption that everyone knows what's happening in my life, this comes from vulnerability, hypercritical parents, feeling like you are in trouble with the world. Most people have no idea what's going on in your life and are clueless that we need, they're just, nobody knows that I had 2 cinnamon rolls for breakfast. Nobody cares, right? But it's that perception that, oh crap, everybody knows what I've done, what I've eaten for breakfast, right? I didn't have 2 cinnamon rolls, just for the record. Sounds delicious though. Number 10, sideways grief or range. And this one's interesting because this one came from Patrick's YouTube channel, sideways grief or range. So I like to, when my son was decay, I took him to the dentist. They did their thing, but they must not have cleaned out enough of the infection, because about 2 weeks later, he started saying, "Mommy, it hurts really, really bad, really, really bad." So I got him back into the dentist, and it looked like a little blister on his gum. It was coming out sideways because there wasn't enough room, because the pressure had built up, because the infection did not get cleaned out. Okay, so I just found this one interesting. That's just me though. So, when we repress our trauma, it comes out sideways. The body remembers what happened, even if you don't consciously remember that infection is still there and will come out sideways. So it'll come out in the form of grief, or it'll come out in the form of rage. And you might not be an angry person, but the silliest little thing might just be that tipping point, that just enough infection to make you blow. Okay, so silly things like, even, dang it, I spilled the milk, I dropped the glass, right? And normally you're not a grouchy person or a grumpy person, but just that little bit of extra pushes you over the edge. Or same with crying too, with that grief. You might see a commercial of a mother hugging a child, and maybe that's something that you didn't get in your childhood. That's going to trigger something in you, and you're going to end up crying and crying, and sometimes it's hard to stop, right? Anyways, I know hormones play a big role in it as well too, but a lot of times it's that stuck energy, that stuck trauma. Okay, number 11. we're getting close to the end here. I'm sorry, this is taking a little bit longer than what I expected, but we're almost done. Number 11 is I will do X after Y. It's called the waiting game. And this is what I do. I'll get my gym membership if I can first lose 40 pounds, because I don't want people to look at me when I'm, 40 pounds overweight. And then if I could lose some weight, then I can go to the gym and then I'll look better and then I'll feel better about myself, right? So it's the waiting game, waiting for things to get better on their own. And this comes from childhood trauma and neglect and not being parented, emotional abuse. Change only comes from being in the right mood. So these are some beliefs that come with it. So these are just a few ways to identify that the inner child needs some attention. You might not have been beat to a pulp as a child. You might not have experienced trauma as other people have. But if you have any of these things, and these are just 12 of them, there's a whole lot more. These are just ones that resonated with me because of my experiences. So there's a lot more out there. Do your research and then go within and just ask the creator of all that is, oh, what do I need? What is this, right? I always ask open-ended questions. And abuse can be, it's kind of a funny thing. Anything, the body registers what am I trying to say here? Okay, hold on. Abuse is registered in the body as anything that will lower the self-esteem, basically. So even if it didn't come from mom or dad, maybe it came from cousins, maybe it came from siblings, maybe it came from grandma, grandpa, maybe it came from aunts and uncles or godmothers, godfathers. The family unit is so diverse now. It's not just mom, dad, brothers and sisters. It can be any of those individuals. Okay, so anything that lowers the self-esteem. So if one of these applies to you, if none of them apply to you, that's okay. Just let's go on the journey together, and we're going to walk you through through an inner child healing session. Okay, so we're going to get to.
Hey, Cherise, did you do number 12? Was that number 12 the anything that lowers the self-esteem?
Number 12 was, maybe I didn't. Maybe I don't have number 12. Oh. I think I only had 11. Just kidding.
Okay, good. Gotcha.
Sorry, guys.
I'll type up a handout, but I'll drop all 11 of these into the chat so you guys can see them. I just typed them while she was talking.
Thank you.
Okay, and then go ahead. Let's move into some healing.
Great. Okay, so let's do some healing. So let's get comfortable. So adjust where you're sitting. Just kind of get a little comfortable. Maybe move your shoulders. And we're going to just start by doing some deep breathing. Okay, so close your eyes. I'm going to bring this up closer to my mouth because I have it, well, not close, so you can't see my pimples. Sorry about that. Not too close, but so that you can hear my voice. So let's get comfortable. Okay, so close your eyes. Take some deep breaths in. Okay, deep breath in. Deep breath out. And just do a couple of those deep cleansing breaths. And I want you to visualize the breath is like the waves of the ocean. The waves come in and the waves go out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And just do a couple more of those. And I love the analogy of the ocean because sometimes the tide comes in and it feels like you're drowning. And it's too hard and life is rough. But then it recedes. It never stays long. And then you can see, and your perception is so much greater. You can see every seashell, every little crab on the beach. I love the ocean. So just breathe in those beautiful cleansing waves. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Now bring the energy of you into your heart space. So till you see a beautiful ball of light, and it just moves and it dances, and it's so beautiful. Now bring that light down through your body, down through your hips, down through your legs, down through your feet, down into the earth, and just watch it kind of branch out, just like the roots of the trees. You are supported by the earth. You are grounded. You are nourished. Now bring that energy back up through the roots, through your feet, up through your legs, and come all the way back up to your heart until it's in that beautiful ball shape again. And it's not really a ball, it kind of moves, and it's alive. It's you. It is your life source. Deep breath in, deep breath out. On your next breath, I want you just to watch this ball of light expand out like the sun rays. It gets bigger and it gets brighter and it shines through everything. Deep breath in and breathe it out till your rays are a part of everything. You are part of the earth, you're part of the atmosphere, you're part of the plants and the animals, the vegetation. That sunlight touches everything. You are a part of it. And it is beautiful. And just feel that beautiful feeling of being a part of all that is. Really, it just feels so good. What are you worried about in this space? Not much. That list of things to do usually disappears. Feels pretty good. Just take another couple deep breaths in and just enjoy this feeling of being in oneness. Now we're going to come back to our heart space. And with your eyes closed and even your mind's eye closed, I want you to go back to a time in your childhood when you felt the safest. And it can be before the abuse, during the abuse, or after the abuse. When did you feel the safest? Was it at home? Was it playing in your garden? Was it at grandma's house, in her kitchen? Was it playing by the river or the stream? Did you have a special tree that you sat underneath and dreamed? Where is that special place? Just visualize it. And now let's bring your child, your inner child, you, a little version of you, at whatever age that it is supposed to be for you. So we're going to ask the creator of all that is to show you what stage that inner child needs the most healing. And let's bring her or him forward. Now just open your mind's eye. Keep your eyes closed, your physical eyes. Look at yourself. What do you look like? Can you see your hair? Can you see your shoes? Maybe your clothes are a little bit ratted because you're playing. Maybe you're in a beautiful dress or a Sunday suit. What do you look like? Do you have freckles? Can you see the little dirt smudges on your cheeks? Do you have braids? What color is your hair? Just feel, sense every part of you. Now just pay attention. How does how does this younger version of you feel? What's going on right now? Is she happy? Is he sad? What's happening? Now you're going to put yourself in the scene and you're going to approach this child. Come to him or her. Kneel down beside her or him, or sit on a chair wherever you might be. Get down on their level and bring them close to you. Look them in the eye and feel what that feels like. Feel what they need, because that's you. You know exactly what that little girl, that little boy needs. Is you experience this. There's still a part of you, absolutely. So if it's before the abuse happened, I want you just to tell her. You don't have to go into details, him or her. Just explain there's going to be some trials and some struggles in your life, and it's going to be hard. But that's okay, because I'm right here, and I'm going to help you through it, okay? Maybe your inner child is already going through them. What does that child need? What is the love language of that inner child? Maybe she just needs a big hug and someone to tell her how beautiful she is and how wonderful she is and how special she is, and that it's going to be okay. You're going to make it through this. Maybe he needs someone to tell him that he's okay, that you're doing great, and that doesn't matter if you're not the fastest or the strongest or that you can't hit the baseball as far as everybody else. Does it really matter? No, because you still love him. Maybe they just need a little bit of love or a lot of love. So you tell them what they need or convey it in a way that they're going to receive it. Connect with this child. Love them. And just take a few minutes to tell them anything else that you need to tell them, anything else that they need to hear. Nurture them. Now, when you're ready, we're going to say goodbye. Once you've filled them with love, help them to feel that unconditional love from God and that it's going to be okay. Now, some children won't want you to leave, and that's okay because this is the first time they've felt safe and good in a long time. So we're just going to ask that the creator of all that is show them that you are part of them and that you can feel that safe and that peaceful feeling anytime that they are wanting it. So we'll just ask the creator of all that is to show them that. And then we'll just back away slowly, wave goodbye, send them love, unconditional love. They're so beautiful. Now just take a couple of deep breaths in, come into your body. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your legs, your knees, wiggle your hips, wiggle your lower back, wiggle your shoulders, Wiggle your neck. Just be present. You're here. Come back. Take a deep breath in. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Recovery. How is that? I want you to just take a minute, and if you want to journal and jot some things down, please do. This can be a very huge shift for some people. So if you don't feel like sharing, that's totally fine. But I would like to open up either the chat or the mic for sharing of your experiences if we have time. Hopefully that didn't take too long. Oh, we do have time. Okay. So how did everybody do? What did your child look like?
I'll go. I'll go first. Since I posted some very kind of vulnerable pictures of my little girl self on Facebook as a invitation to this class, there was one picture that came up. I don't have very many pictures of myself because my parents were very poor and their camera broke when I was born, so I don't have baby pictures. I don't really have pictures of my childhood up until I was early teens even. But there are a handful. The ones that I do have, some of them are terrible. Like I just look like a little rugrat with messy hair and dirty face and bare feet and playing outside, in the dirt. And there was one in particular where my teacher in second grade took a picture of me along with a little essay that I had written about myself. And the picture is so vulnerable and it's so terrible. And I have short hair and I look like a boy and it's all messy. And I was just sitting there thinking, who was responsible for my hair on picture day? Who did that? So that was the version of my little self that came to me was, when I was little, I always wanted long hair. I always wanted braids. But my mother cut my hair off short because she thought it was cute to have like a little pixie cut, but people thought I was a boy. And that messed with my identity a little bit. It messed with my self-confidence and my self-esteem. And I went within and got really shy. And so as I had this conversation with that self that was not super cute, like I look at lots of their growing up pictures and their cute little ringlets and cute little dress and cute little everythings. And my pictures are not cute. And that's always been super vulnerable to me. In fact, I still, even just as I'm saying it, I feel sad. So I know there's a lot of grief in her, this little girl. I don't know what she went through because I don't have very many memories of my childhood. Very few memories of childhood. But what she wanted when I asked her, what do you need? What do you want? What she wanted was just more conversation. She wanted someone to pay attention to her. Just stay here with me. And could you come back? So that was the message that came out. It was really profound. And I thought it was fascinating that was the imagery that I got as you're, helping us describe and bring up that little self. It was that little ragged, dirty, not cute picture of myself. Very vulnerable, but purposeful. We had a great conversation.
So did you notice any healing? Did you feel any different afterwards?
Yeah, I absolutely noticed some healing in her, some accepting so I came to her as my higher self and invited her to just believe that about herself and to step into that self, that future version of herself. So yeah, there was some healing. I think there's more because she kept saying, you need to come back. We have some talking to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is this isn't just a one-time deal. Like we need to be having conversations with that little inner child and nurturing that child. especially where the neglect happened, right? So if she wasn't paid attention to, if there wasn't conversations that happened, that's what she needs. So it is up to us to do that inner work and nurture that child within us and give her what she was needing all those years.
Yeah. Lisa's got a comment. She says, my child with the most trauma was 15 when I was bullied and disgraced the most and got my period for the first time. I felt dumb and slow in school. Ooh, I would love to hear what that conversation was like with her.
Yeah. Oh, sweetie, that must have been so awful.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like you can share and turn your mic on, I'd love to hear.
Sure, I'll share.
Yeah.
I asked her what she needed. I thought she would be younger, like 6, 7, 8, something like a little child that we imagine in our mind. But she was 15. And apparently in the point in my life that I had the most trauma and disgrace and bullying. And I asked her what she needed, and she just wanted to be told that she is smart, that she's beautiful, that she's loved no matter what. And she just wanted me to tell her all of these things, like, you are amazing, you are smart, you're gifted, you're and it's natural to, to go through some of these things. You're not alone. It's not like the world was ending, even though at that time it felt like the world was ending for me.
Oh, absolutely. That when you're going through as a child, as a teenager, it feels like it is the end of the world. It really, really. And
Right. And I got through it, and it made me stronger in so many ways. So I can see the wisdom in the reasoning for me going through those hard things, and all of us going through our hard things, to not be the victim anymore, but to be the victor. So yeah, that was my experience.
Thank you for sharing. That's amazing.
Beautiful. Yeah,
You're very welcome.
Thanks for sharing that.
Oh, absolutely. Anyone else want to share?
That's there.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Can y'all hear me? So I went, as I met that young girl, I thought to myself, I'm living at my parents' house right now because I'm in transition, and I thought about where the picture of the little girl. So I ran to the piano, and so I share, this is the young Katie that I was visualizing in my and I'm still emotional from it. So there's healing that's taking place. She didn't want me to leave her, and I just wanted to tell her that she was stronger than she thinks she is, because that little girl, generationally, panic disorder and fear plagued me my entire life, and until I met Jesus, he was able to deliver me from that. But that little girl didn't know that fear was a liar. And she didn't want me to leave her whenever I got to her in that heart space. And she just needed to be told that she was strong and that she's fierce and that she is that she wouldn't be left alone.
Wow.
Wow. Katie, that's beautiful.
Oh, that's so sacred. Thank you for sharing that with
Very
us.
tender, very purposeful. And the other thing, I think that I felt that a lot of that too. She didn't want me to leave. It's interesting to watch how when we get triggered in daily life, how if we can just jump down the rabbit hole and follow that all the way back, it usually goes back to that little child that's just didn't get something that they were needing.
Yep. That's good. Thank you. Thank you for this.
Oh, thanks for being here and sharing and allowing me to be a part of this. It's very cool. Very cool. Anyone else that would like to share?
I have something.
Yes, please.
So I went back to when I was 12, I broke both my wrists. kind of wild. And as I gone back to that time at 12 years old, there was a lot of fear in my younger self. Like the little girl in me was very scared for that moment to happen. And I just sat there. I was like, "Hey, you're gonna be fine. Yeah, you're gonna be terrified, but you're gonna be fine in the end." And I remember going through. I was like, "Hey, look at these clovers. Look at the our three cats were sitting in the clovers at the time." And I just gone through and I was like, "Look at them. They're chill, they're happy, they're peaceful." And I was like, "Look at mom. She's walking through the yard. She's enjoying herself." And I think it's so interesting that I did that because those are the moments I think about the most from that time period is the clovers, my three cats, and like my mom during that time. And that's what brings the most peace from the moment of fear.
Wow.
Wow,
That's
Ashley.
so interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. That was really cool.
Great, great story, great healing, great awareness of your past.
Wonderful. Thanks for being vulnerable. Is there anyone else that would like to share their healing experience with their inner child? And if it's too sacred, it's totally fine. Don't push it. It's okay. It really is, because when I first did this, when I first did this meditation, it was actually on Janet's class, and I can't remember the name of the guy that you had come and do it with us. And I had one of the most profound healing experiences of my life through the inner child. And I had been doing so much healing on myself that I thought, okay, there's nothing left to heal. Yeah, right. The layers are deep. Let's just say that.
I do believe that the childhood wounds are probably the deepest, the ones that are buried, the deepest and the darkest, and they'll find it's interesting how they'll find ways to come to the surface and be made known.
Absolutely. And I also noticed, so after doing that one healing session, it's almost like we kind of travel through time, right? We are going back to our younger self, or younger versions of ourselves. So time doesn't actually exist on this physical plane. I mean, in the spiritual plane. It has to exist in the physical plane because we need it to get to school on time, get to work on time, and you make it to our dentist appointments and our car appointments. And, we need it, right? As humans, we need it. But it doesn't really actually exist on any other plane.
Yeah.
So that being said, I've had experiences after I did my first inner child healing where I had gone through challenges and struggles in life. And I remember specifically, I felt this hand on my shoulder once when I was really, really struggling. And I turned around. Nobody was there, but I could feel that it was myself from the future. This future, older, wiser version of me was there to comfort me and help me through that trial that I was experiencing. And it was so peaceful and so comforting to feel that, you know what, I made it through. I made it to an old woman. I can do this.
Yeah. How amazing for you to have that experience where you could be comforted by your higher self, because really, who else is going to be able to comfort you in that way? Because no one else knows you at that, to that degree, but yourself.
Level. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've seen some profound healing take place when we strip down the emotions, identify the emotions, figure out what is the belief that's feeding that emotion. Where did that belief come from? What is the memory? And what does that little version, usually it goes back to childhood, but what does that little version of you need to hear or see or experience? And then you go provide it because no one else can.
Because you're the only one that can actually sense what she needs, what he needs. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, they will speak to you. They'll have full-on conversations with you.
Yes. And they will not want you to leave, because it's like this grown-up is paying attention to me and giving me what I need. And I need that. I need more of that, right? Because they're not getting it in that existence, so sometimes it is hard to leave, but just breaking that connection, not in a harsh way, but just showing them that it's okay. I'm actually here with you always. I will always be with you, because I'm you. You are me.
Yeah.
We are one.
Yeah.
And then once that is explained to them, it's like they're like, oh, okay, you're always here. So I can have conversations with you whenever I want. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Have you found, well, you kind of touched on this a little bit, Cherise, but have you found too that as you work with people, that it works also not just going back and taking the hand of that small child and providing what they needed at the time, but moving forward? So if you're going through trauma and drama right now in your life, projecting forward to the version of you that's already overcome, that has already healed, that has already made it through. Do you find that works too with have you done that with your clients?
I haven't done it a huge amount. I've only done it with one, but I have seen that. I have been directed to take her through a, similar meditation and go and find her older version of herself, go through time and space. And yeah.
Yeah, that's a powerful thing too. So going in both directions. Well, we are almost at the top of the hour. I'm going to turn it back to you to just have whatever final thoughts, final questions, final takeaways that maybe you feel like sharing.
That's an excellent question.
That's a hard question.
It is a hard question, but it's, I think maybe just keep working at it. Just, when you're touching on, this is just a tool. It was a simple meditation. It wasn't hard, was it? You don't need, I think you say this a lot, you don't need 3 hours in a dark room. We did that in 5 minutes. We went and we connected with our higher self. So just slowing the body down to be able to quicken the spirit, to connect with that inner child at whatever stage needs to be healed. It's, I think, just always keeping that connection with God, with the creator, with your source, whatever that may be, whatever that looks like for you. You'll be directed. If you can connect to that source, you'll be directed, because this is how I help people. Yeah, I have tools. Yeah, I've taken a lot of courses, but what does it really mean? They're other people's modalities, right? But when you can connect to the creator of all that is, your source, and be directed to heal yourself and maybe help others through it, then wow, you can get a lot done. You can see, and you can heal yourself. Heal thyself. Yeah. And use that inner child to help you heal, to help you on your journey in this moment. Because I don't know about you guys, but just kind of pay attention to how you feel this week as you go about your week. I had a huge shift, and things changed, and my perceptions changed after I did this healing. Yeah. It was like it was almost like it was the completion, the final stage in that healing that needed to take place for that specific trauma that I was dealing with as a child. So it's super powerful. Keep doing it. That's my
it is super powerful. Thank you for being here. I took a quantum healing course years ago, probably 15 years ago now, but the tagline to that course was, the answers are inside. The answers are always inside. And I worked with one of my first clients that I ever worked with had suffered from migraine headaches for like 15 years, and they were so severe. She was addicted to several different pain medicines, and she was coming to me for the addiction of these pain medicines, and really, really battling it and struggling. She had been all over the country having medical procedures and surgeries and taking medications for the migraines, and they didn't go away until she was able to tap back into her newborn self. And it even went to where she was in the womb. but it went back to the newborn self, and she was able to hold that little newborn and reconcile and have the conversation and provide for her a new outlook. And she was able to resolve not only the addictions, but she was able to resolve the pain from the migraines. And she said, I find it interesting that I traveled all over the world to get these medical procedures, and the answer was inside. And that is true for every problem, every pain, every health challenge, everything that you're going through now that feels uncomfortable. The answers are always going to be found inside of you. And your inner children do have some wisdom to share. And that connection, like you said, Cherise, with God can also add to that too. And so I find when you couple the communicating with the inner child, but also bringing God or Christ into that communication, now you've got more wisdom that's being added upon. And now that child has more resources so they can feel safe. If they can be held by, if they didn't have a mother figure growing up, they can be held by the Divine Mother. If they didn't feel loved by their father, or they experienced abuse at the hand of their father, they can be healed by their divine heavenly Father. It's profound opportunities for us to really become aware and connect and resolve and heal those things. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lisa says, thank you for this tool. Yes, you're welcome. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it so much. If you feel like you got benefit from this session, please share it with your friends. The post, we're going to post this to YouTube by the end of today. So watch for the replay to come out, and you can share it around if you think it would be beneficial to people that you care about. We're also going to be going live in 1 hour from now. So set your timers if you'd like to go join into that class. There's 2 ways to do it. You can purchase the class separately. It's not a class, but it's a group healing session. So we're going to go even deeper today, and we're going to connect with our inner child, our smaller self. We're going to find out what are the beliefs, what are the triggers, what are we holding on to that we need to let go of. And we're going to go deeper into this type of healing now that we know how to connect. So thank you for breaking the ice, getting that tip of the iceberg out of the way. And if you want to go deeper, meet us over at greatlifegreaterimpact.com. You can get yourself registered before we start. All right. Thanks for being here, everybody. Have a blessed rest of your day, and we'll see you next week. Mwah. Bye. Got to test my mic here really quick and make sure that we're good. Oh, we're not good. I can't hear you. Hold on.
Can you hear me now?
The spiritual journey and how difficult it is. Because it can be a butt kicker to have your ego stripped naked. And she's like, it's like, I'm sick of the word purposeful. I don't want to hear it anymore. I just don't want to hear that it's purposeful. And then she's like, it's like the struggle bus, only we're not on it. It ran over us. And on the license plate, as we look, as it's driving over us, it says, the license plate says, it's purposeful.
Yeah. Oh, it's a rough journey. It is so hard.
It is so hard.
The rebirth, and then more rebirth, and then more rebirth. And it's like, it's messy. Birth is messy.
Yeah, it is. But everybody wants to hold the baby, and nobody wants to give birth to it.
Mm-mm.
Everybody wants the transformation, but nobody wants to have to do their inner work because it's rough.
It is messy business.
At the end of the day, I think people just want to get inside and do their inner work and feel better.
Absolutely.
I think even more than learning stuff. That's what I feel like I've learned from all of this.
Absolutely. It's nice to have this space too for people to come to learn and to engage and to be able to, because there isn't really any other that I've found, any other platforms that are willing to offer this type of healing, for free.
I love that we can do it. I love that there's a platform and technology that we can do this work and help people do their work, their inner work.
Oh, for sure.